Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to another TW9 video. We are the Sickos, this is for the Sickos, this is the AEW save where we're trying, eventually, get as many of the achievements in game as we can. I think, with regard to them and how well we're doing, we'll update that every so often, because I obviously know we haven't had clearly haven't had a 100 rated match yet, or a 100 rated show. And in terms of like the matches and stuff like that, I think we've got like the first one, because I think it's like 100 matches. The only one I've got is the 50 years of a save, thanks to the Afghanic mod. That was easy to do over a day, basically, where I just let it run and sat and played my Xbox. So slowly but surely we'll get there. Of course, obviously growing the company bigger will be one and another, and like the small going for like insignificant to tiny, etc. I'll probably do that in the Afghanic mod when it's a wee bit more flushed out, when it feels like it's properly runnable. So that'll take time, and hopefully again I'll have a bit more experience with what works and what doesn't work in TW9. So we're really on a bit of rhythm with this now. I'm constantly playing this save. It's pretty difficult to put down, but I've always been like that with games. Obviously, you probably noticed the big hiatus I had probably at the start of the year. Yeah, I was playing a lot of Football Manager then. Tied up a few games even before the Real World mod came out, so I could fully put focus into having a great time. So yeah, hopefully that works and we get the best out of it and we can get to where we want to be at a good pace, because I say until we obviously get to large or big, we're still going to be hovering. I think highest we'll probably peak at is like 70 rated matches, 80 rated matches, but if we can keep getting as many people over as possible, we keep improving that popularity, the TV deals will come, and then we can go from there. We just might not have Bryan when we hit our peak. But we have Bryan right now, and Bryan is in our main event tonight. He is going to take on El Toro Blanco Rouge in what should be a blockbuster match. So, roughly 18 days away from Full Gear. This is Dynamite. Soon to come will be Collision. Sit back and relax for another week in AEW. So we are live at the Watsco Centre, and we have some 6-man tag action to start us off. But I do have a special announcement. So basically, despite her being out with a shoulder injury, she obviously can still do stuff at ringside. Julia Hart's pregnant, so in 30 days' time she'll take her hiatus to go and give birth. So yeah, we'll lose her. Best of wishes to her in game. I'm assuming it'll be her and Lee Johnson, but the reality is we weren't going to get her back to March anyway, so it just adds a little bit of time to that. But yeah, just one of the wee notes that popped up. But anyway, we start off with, as I say, with the 6-man tag action, obviously. We're pretty much heading towards the Elite getting their rematch against Brody King and Malachi Black, but of course they've had the ambush on Buddy Matthews, which sets us up for this 6-man tag. It was a good wrestling match with a decent reaction from the crowd, which saw the House of Black, Buddy Matthews, Brody King and Malachi Black defeat the Elite, Jack Perry, Nicholas Jackson and Matthew Jackson in 1407 when Brody King pinned Jack Perry with a Gonzo Bomb. And we also made this our Steal the Show matchup. So first and foremost, this segment got a 69, so that's a good start. Some good performances in there. I kind of hope we could get a wee bit better from Malachi, possibly Brody as well. But I mean, in terms of like intimidating presence, you'd expect somebody the size of Brody King to smash Jack Perry, similar as he's done in most of these matches with Darby Allin. So yeah, and I want my tag champs to look strong before that title defence. So the storyline advances anyway, gains a bit of heat, a few positives in there. But yeah, House of Black pick up the win. We then had a little beatdown backstage. We had Billy Starks just cutting about. She's looking for Athena, but out of nowhere she's blindsided. Bit of distraction first and foremost from the CEO, the TBS champion Mercedes Moné, and then the Brick House Camille absolutely annihilates her. She throws her about the backstage area, and of course Mercedes laughs and mocks her. So Camille's getting better at her gimmick. It was a 48, and obviously extend it should say storyline, but realistically it is only a 1-month program, so I don't want to put it as a storyline. I wasn't too sure how that would affect that with obviously Athena and Billy constantly coming up from ROH, right? Because I didn't want to take the title off Athena, so that's why we've went that way. Next up, bit of a squash match. You can see there he's joined MVP. It is Powerhouse Hobbs, and he defeats Jack Cartwheel in 320 with the Frog Splash. Simple, effective, 43. All it had to be was a squash. After the match, we hear from MVP alongside Powerhouse Hobbs, and they speak of Ricochet. And MVP says he's trying to build something massive here in AEW, and he knows what Ricochet's about. He saw the potential they could have as a team together, but Ricochet decided that wasn't for him. So he looked at Chapter 1, which was of course the Book of Hobbs, and he says it's hurting people and breaking people's backs. So Hobbs annihilates Ricochet obviously previously, and that's why he's not here tonight. And the rest of the AEW locker room should be on notice. That was a 56. Next up, we had a little match up here at Jamie Hayter on Dynamite, and she defeated Emi Sakura in 5:58 with the Falcon Arrow. I made it storytelling because it was a last minute addition, but I felt like I haven't utilised Jamie fully on her return. These two are actually pretty good, good chemistry together as well, and that made the match itself end up a 65. We then had a little segment backstage with our interviewer, Renee Paquette, and Renee was with the trio, and still to be named faction of Dino Purrazzo, Taya Valkyrie, and of course the intimidating Megan Bayne. So obviously Diona and Taya just run down what they're trying to do, and they just say, look at Megan Bayne, look at how good she is at basically everything, and how they're going to run amok in the AEW women's division. I'm really going to try and utilise Renee very well. I feel in previous TEWs I wasn't great with interviewers, but I think we can utilise likes of her, like Sinea, and maybe RJ City, to take to hopefully help our talents anyway, as we just try and utilise especially the younger ones that can develop with some of their skill sets. We then cut backstage where we see MVP bump into Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay basically tries to run and goes, what the hell are you doing, to Ricochet? And he goes to do something. He goes to lay a hand on MVP before Powerhouse Hobbs just walks in front of him and just goes, I wouldn't do that if I were you. You touch him, we've got a problem. And we know, as much as you ought to look out for your boy Ricochet, you've got other problems lurking. Talking about that International Championship. If Takeshita doesn't take that off you at Full Gear, then maybe Powerhouse Hobbs does. Or maybe somebody else does. So a 58 segment there, that little hint of what could be coming in the future. Try not to give too much away. Obviously she made a return on Collision. Timeless Toni Storm is back as she takes on Serena Deeb here. Sadly though, these two didn't click, and I did have a decent reaction. Subpar wrestling. Toni went over Serena in 8:58 with the strong zero. It's tricky trying to put people over in the women's division because there's a lot I don't want to job out, but that's maybe why I need a bit more depth in the women's division, and probably why in real life AW tend to go for the likes of bringing in the Renegade Twins just to give them extra enhancement talents, just to name two off the top of my head. But still overall pretty good, 51. As I say, there's a long way to go in both the men's and women's divisions in terms of overness, and hopefully we'll get there. And after this, Mariah May comes down to get an attack on Toni Storm. Mina Shirakawa comes down and then just starts hitting everybody. It turns into a three-way brawl, obviously heading towards our triple threat match at Full Gear. But after the brawl, we see Mariah May bail under the bottom rope, grabbing her title, and basically that way she kind of holds her face and almost sells it as if she's been slapped really, really hard, and just basically, yeah, try to get a bit more of a boost to the segment with that, and I got a 50. So the storyline continues. A 49 for the segment. We carry on. And this one was to make Claudio look really, really good. And this one I'd say probably did a 70 rating there, although it was because of the good chemistry. It was a decent matchup as he defeated the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels in 13:25 with a neutralizer. 57-46, but a 64 for the match itself, as we try to get Claudio firing all cylinders for the world title match. I think a wee bit of frustration I've got is obviously we go with Claudio as number one contender. The kind of trios championships has to take a bit of a back seat, but hopefully, as I say, we can get stuff sorted with him, Pac, and Utah very soon. We have a little hype package with Samoa Joe. It was really just showing his training, just showing everything he's going through as he prepares for his matchup with Jon Moxley at Full Gear. And speaking of Mox, he was in action next. He had a wild brawl with Cool Kyle O'Reilly. And this one, a decent wrestling. Mox picks up the win in 13:21 with a paradigm shift. Kyle's maybe not the most over in this one, so we'll have to start working on that one. Or maybe it could possibly be a case the brawl didn't suit his style. I was kind of hoping his kind of combat nature maybe would have, but a 62 is not too bad. The main thing was, I say, the momentum for Moxley, which will lead us, I believe, to our main event. Nope, we have a little promo first. Forgot I added this in. So basically this one was just before the main event. I feel like I hadn't touched on it too much, but I feel like they still have to be mentioned. So we had the Christian Cage cut a promo on Bryan Danielson. We had Killswitch, Nick and Shayna Wayne in the background. And it just says, I've been quiet, but I'm just biding my time in this farewell tour for the American Dragon, because one day he's going to be so beaten down after a title retaining the title. Hell, he might even be too worn down after tonight's main event, and that's when I will become the AEW World Champion. So it was just that wee kind of reminder that Christian still has that clause, still has that contract to become World Champion if he desires. And there we go, best match of the series so far. Great to see these two have great chemistry, so that leads to a potential feud down the line, I think, if that's the case. But we had a superb wrestling match, a decent reaction from the crowd, as the American Dragon Bryan Danielson defeats Rush in 1821 with a running knee. These two had great chemistry, and it pushed Bryan to have a 94 in-ring performance, 84 for the wrestling, 53 for the crowd, 85 for the segment overall. So that's good, because that was just a normal wrestling match. I don't think I added anything to it. Yep, regular match. But good to know these two have got great chemistry. It's something we can look back at in the future and utilise that. But delighted with that, as I really didn't expect that. So, as I say, Bryan Danielson main events will gain us pop constantly, but utilise them while we've got them. And after the match, but just the words from Bryan just saying that was his match up there with Rush. That was the effort and the performance he put in there. If that's what he's going to do in just a regular normal match with Rush, what is he going to do with everything on the line, the World Heavyweight Championship and potentially the future of AEW when he faces Claudio, because he knows he's going to have to be on his A game to battle Claudio. 63 for that promo. I think will be maybe low 70s when you add in the promos. One of brilliant in this episode. No, 77. So in that matchup alone, best match by far and best overall show rating. Obviously a long way to go, but for where we are as a company size, I'm absolutely delighted with that one. So that's fantastic. Look at so many places we could have gained growth if we didn't have the strict limits, but that's okay. So we'll finish the show. We'll see if there's any incidents at Rampage. Argument between Prince. I can't imagine these two arguing. Prince, Stokely, what have you been doing? Have you been antagonising Nana? Have you been stealing his coffee? That was it. So I'll go and book Rampage. I'll book Collision, and we'll have a round up if anything happened in between. It's now time for a roundup of Rampage, of stuff that's happened, and of course it's time to see Collision. So not too much in terms of stuff happening. We have agreed a deal for Io Shirai, that's happening, that's official, she'll join in December. So we'll see how we debut her, what programme we can bring her into. And Jeff Jarrett has a protege, Dante Martin. Figure that one out. Weird there. But hopefully, as I say, it can help with some of his attributes, so we'll have to look at the positives for that kind of thing. But yeah, it'd be quite an interesting one to see. By Rampage. So, show history. After a Listico defeat Action Andretti, we had a promo with the conglomeration. We didn't have Rocky Romero available for any in-ring stuff, which I think he must be injured, or maybe need to look at the contract, but maybe he can't appear at B shows, or maybe even possibly had something with New Japan. So I'm going to assume it's probably that. Hikaru Shida had just a little vignette just to hype her up. We had Mina Shirakawa defeat Lady Frost. We heard from Jamie Hayter on her plans for the future, just to win the Women's Championship at one point, really just to make sure she's actually on television. The Beast Mortos defeated Dante Martin. These two didn't click. There was an injury to Dante Martin. It's just a 6-day injury, a strained bicep, so he's absolutely fine. We tried to create a finish that the Beast Mortos recommended. It was risky, and it failed. So I think probably going forward, unless like they're like in a terrible position, we'll probably avoid them. So like I've got one for Bryan Danielson. That's very risky, a character change. I'm not going to ruin his momentum and his morale on that kind of thing. But someone, as I say, that could be maybe lower than the card, cool momentum. It could just be the wee kind of rocket ship they need to get their character over. We finished up two friends battling. Mark Briscoe defeats Jay Lethal. So that was Rampage at the West Coast Centre. I don't think, are we there? We might be there. We're in Florida anyway. I'm trying to just keep running as many shows in the home market as we can. And as soon as the crowd gets tedious of us, we'll move on and we'll go elsewhere. But anyway, that was Rampage. That was the goings on around the world. Let's pop in and do Collision. So it's the other arena in the southeast we're in. It's the Arlen Horton Sports Centre, just under 3,000 in attendance. And we start the show with our colour commentator. It is Nigel McGuinness. In fact, is Nigel even down his colour comms? Ah, yes, that's fine. So he's obviously leapt up to give us a few words here. So basically, it's going to be a kind of pick your poison night, he says. Jon Moxley has picked the opponent for Samoa Joe in our opening contest. There'll be two other pick your poison matches, which will feature Claudio Castagnoli and the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, as we try and gain as much pop as possible. But Moxley says Joe can get tested by his protege, as of course from New Japan, Shota Umino. So storyline advances and a 53 rated segment. That matchup was decent. Samoa Joe picks up the win in 8:34 with a Kikuna clutch submission over Shota. 52 for Shota, 59 for Samoa Joe, and overall a 62 rated segment. So good stuff there from Samoa Joe. We then had a little promo backstage, and basically we're going to be seeing Hologram take on John Silver. So we hear some words from Evil Uno representing the Dark Order alongside John Silver, and obviously Alex Reynolds will be kicking about in the background, as they just basically say they're going to defeat Hologram. In fact, they're just going to make sure he's real first before they actually beat him. So 40 segment. And the match itself was decent, didn't have much heat though, and Hologram defeats John Silver in 8:14 by pinfall with a 450 splash. Some good performances there. They had pretty good chemistry together, which was nice to see. And overall, a 61 rated segment. So pretty good stuff so far, it's got to be said. I'm trying to do as many matches as I can that aren't repeat matches, so that's why we're seeing these weird combinations kicking in. Next up, we had a little segment here, just Mariah May, some words on Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm as well. I feel like the women's storyline's a little bit cold, so I need to try and pick up a little bit. Sadly, the promo failed to deliver, just Mariah saying, that as much as like she felt she loved both of them, they've both kind of turned their back on her. So, yeah, that's a point in the improvisation was poor, only a 49, but it is what it is. Next up, we had a Wild Brawl match with Mark Briscoe defeat Lance Archer in 9:53 with the Froggy Bow. So pretty decent, 54 overall. Lance Archer off his game. I quite enjoyed this match when they'd done it on AEW television. Maybe we could have done a bit better here, but still, it's okay. It's mid-card, it's where we are in popularity. It'll do. Then had some words. It was Athena who comes out to the ring. She cuts some words and some promo on Camille and Mercedes Moné, obviously condoning them for what they've done to Billy Stark's on Dynamite. She says, oh, I must add, we'll say she had a baseball bat with her, that's why Camille and Mercedes don't go to the ring. She says it's only a few weeks away, full gear. She's going to use this bat, she'll take out Camille, and then she's going to win the championship from Mercedes Moné as a revenge act for Billy Stark. So 53 for that segment. Next up, we had a decent matchup here. The Grizzled Young Veterans defeated Top Flight in 12:20 when Zach Gibson pinned Darius Martin with a ticket to Mayhem. Go out and steal the show, they did with a 64, and that is with Darius being off his game and Dante being slowed down by that bicep injury. Just looking at that, it's quite weird, as I say, Dante is so poor, but hopefully we can start picking up with him and get him to the level of Darius. But yeah, I don't know with him. It's just never really been so good here. I'm hoping as well that the mentorship with Jeff Jarrett might help him. After the matchup, we have a bit of a brawl, as FTR have heard the words for weeks and weeks from Drake and Gibson. They've brawled before, they're going to brawl again, and it comes to a 48 with their storyline advancing and gaining heat. We then had a matchup that was terrible. Megan Bayne defeats Rebel in 150. It's a storytelling matchup just to make her look so dominant. Rebel with the 20, Megan Bayne with the 44. She's getting better at her gimmick. The crowd were a bit turned off by it. It was only a 25, but I just don't have a lot of people that are like to put people over. So I'm probably just going to have to make a lot of signings to Ring of Honor and like call those people up to do the job effectively. And we then had a promo after it. It's just Diona and Taya talking about how good they are and look at this intimidating figure they've got with them. They're going to run through this women's division. Simple promo. Hopefully gets more momentum towards Diona in a 42 rated segment. Co-main event. The pick your poison for Claudio Castagnoli was Castagnoli. There we go. Was Hechicero, and had a technical masterclass here that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Claudio Castagnoli picks up the win over Hechicero in 16:40 with the neutralizer. So a 69 overall. Some good stuff there. I felt like that would be a pretty good matchup to put in. Both guys penalised for their physical condition. Maybe they need a break, both of them, but it was cool to try Hechicero. And yeah, pretty happy with that co-main event. Then had Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Renee Paquette. And it's basically them just saying they've had enough of these constant brawls with the Grizzled Young Veterans. Next week on Collision, it's time to settle it. FTR, Grizzled Young Veterans, let's do it. 51 rated segment. Again, utilising Renee, who was fantastic, and the storyline gains some heat. Our final promo of the night is from the Poison that has been picked for Bryan Danielson, and it's someone that's obviously stated that they don't seem to be at the same level they used to be, but they were up there, talked with the likes of Bryan Danielson, etc. back in the day, and that was of course Kenta. And he just says, yeah, it's just, he's pissed off at people saying he's not as good as he used to be. He's going to show how good he is and beat Bryan Danielson. 52, Kenta's gimmick is getting stale in New Japan, but how will Kenta versus Bryan Danielson do in our main event? Bryan Danielson delivers again. Technical masterclass had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Bryan Danielson defeats Kenta in 17:44 with the running knee. 91 for Bryan, 58 for Kenta. They had great chemistry and that boosted their performances. Again, it's good to find this out. I didn't know it was just I felt like a good pick your poison match to pick. And obviously benefiting from a hot new move and the groundswell of public support. 74 for the wrestling, 52 for the crowd, 82 for the segment as a whole. That's what I like about all these alliances that AEW's got. I can just randomly bring people in and have some kick-ass matches. So we finished the show with 71. Obviously a very good main event, but the promo side I think we were quite low. And try to see, I think our best promo was probably Athena alongside McGuinness as a 53, so a big drop down for the 82 match. So we obviously get a big deduction from that, but at the end of the day we gain pop in 13 regions, and that's most important at this point in time. So the financial report, we've nearly made $1 million profit in the whole save. Popularity recap, again in New South Wales, but everywhere else in America bar Hawaii. So we could see ourselves in a position where all these are like 70s odds, and because we don't show in Hawaii that's still going to be 60. But overall, pretty good. And nothing in the media scrum. We'll jump back to the main screen, we'll see if there's anything there before we move along to next week. But yeah, I like that, like all these alliances, it lets me try and bring in wrestlers, and because maybe like I don't feel they would work as a full-time participant in the roster, but still getting them in for special appearances is quite cool. Right, so what have we got that affects us? Tanahashi and Naito are going to be in a feud. Collision get a lot of praise. Nakajima's dating Chris Brooks. And WWE extend their contract with Kelly Kincaid. There was a few other ones. Maxine Dupree was another contract that was up, but again, it's just someone I didn't feel would benefit us, so we let her run. And we confirm the renewal of Matt Sydal, who we'll keep on the main roster, is more of an enhancement talent. I should probably mention this one. So I've offered a contract to DDP. It's basically some of the more professional legends I feel would do something. I just feel they're nice people. DDP. Foley, just to show you this one. I've asked him to come back as a wrestler, an occasional wrestler. I've got him as a manager, a road agent, and a colour commentator. So he's going to be doing a lot of roles. We've asked him as well. We've got to talk to Worker. He's going to be getting in better shape. I'm already in the middle of a shape change, and the same with losing weight as well. We're going to give Mick Foley what he wanted, and we're going to give him that final match. I'm intrigued. I don't know, it's not going to be MJF at the moment because obviously MJF's still filming, but it's just cool to try and pull that off. Oh, Diamond Dallas Page is intent on retiring on Peace. That's why DDP wasn't popping up. Oh well, it's a shame. I would have been quite happy just to have him in as a sounds like a part-timer kind of thing, you know, not even a part-timer wrestler, just like as a manager, a personality, something, but oh well. And then you can see there just Umino, Kenta, Hechicero, one-off appearances, and the rating for Collision. So yeah, pretty good stuff. If I go here, morale is one thing I've always got an issue with. I'm constantly using open forum just to try and get some stuff down, but just a lot of people are kind of, like, you can see a few debutants sort of signing up. But I mean, one's already signed IRL and one's pretty much confirmed to be signed. In fact, they probably have debuted by the time this goes live. Obviously, I told you about Io Shirai. But that's it for just now. 2 weeks to full gear, 3 days to next Dynamite, so I will call it quits there. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to check out Fantasy Booker subreddit, Grey Dog Software forums, twdb.com and bethebooker.net. And until next time, this was Maxwell. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.